Is there 6 quarterbacks better than Russell Wilson? It depends on what your criteria are. I don't know.
This is just purely talent. You're playing
Purely
analyst
talent?
here. This is not personal. Obviously, you have
It's
a
definitely personal
relationship
for him.
with him.
Purely
personal.
talent?
Yeah.
I mean, Russell Wilson's one of the most athletic quarterbacks in the league. So purely talent, he's up there.
Look, there's a little air under his ball sometimes, but I love Phillip Rivers. I love Phillip Rivers. I'm rooting for him to win a championship. I thought last year actually was the year they get to the Super Bowl. He was a deer in headlights against the Patriots. I'm not trying to hear, well, that's Belichick out scheming coach. You can't go down without a fight. That Chargers team, led by Phillip Rivers, went down without a fight. I was very disappointed about, in that. I don't see that from Russell Wilson. I always see Seattle fighting, led by the quarterback. I mean, you could say whatever you want about the Legion of Boom. They had a good season this season, and Russell Wilson's the best player. So I don't think you can put Phillip Rivers ahead, especially a post-prime Phillip Rivers, even if he is still an MVP conversation, ahead of Russell Wilson, who has won a Super Bowl, who has been there multiple times, who year in and year out makes sure that this team is always solid, if not a playoff powerhouse. I don't think you could put Phillip Rivers ahead of him. I think Tom Brady at this age is not ahead of him. I think
Andrew Luck?
Andrew Luck. I thought Andrew Luck was going to be like what Patrick Mahomes or Carson Wentz at first, and then Patrick Mahomes obviously turned out to be the heir apparent to Aaron Rodgers as really the best player. Forget about the media stuff and the Super Bowls that have to do with the team. Isolate quarterback play. But he has not turned out to be that so far.
Yeah.
He's good, but he hasn't turned out to be that.
Yeah,
so far.
for me, I moved him in front of both Rivers and Andrew Luck. And I think if you look at this team, the identity early on, and Doug can speak to this, was we're going to run the football, we're going to play great defense. It got away from that identity, and it became, can Doug Baldwin make big plays down the field? It became, can Russell Wilson get outside the pocket and find somebody down the field? He was doing more for this team than we see other players do for theirs, and it's not always going to be shown in touchdown numbers, or it's not always going to be shown in the gaudy passing stats. But he was making sure this team won. He was keeping this team relevant when they couldn't run the ball, when they weren't protecting him. And to me, that moves him up above Luck. That moves him up above Phillip Rivers.
Don't act like he doesn't. Like, people act like he doesn't put up the numbers. When Cam Newton won MVP and was voted by his peers the #1 player in the game several years ago, Russell Wilson played better in the second half of that season than Cam Newton. Russell Wilson has had seasons and parts of seasons that have been as good or better than anyone else in the league statistically. Like, people act like he doesn't put up the numbers. He puts up the numbers.
And so, and back to kind of to the Andrew Luck thing, though, I never thought Andrew Luck was going to end up where Patrick Mahomes is. I thought, because even when you watched him at Stanford, it wasn't about that for Andrew Luck.
Right.
But what we thought was every year, Andrew Luck becomes a part of the MVP conversation. And really, Russell Wilson has become that guy. So to look at last year even and say, and I think sometimes it goes to team success and where teams finish and how it looks.
Size. There's like a bias against small players.
100%. And so for me, I think Russell Wilson was low on this list.
Yeah. Look, when I look at Russ, I think that there's untapped potential there. I think that there's still a lot of room for him to improve as a quarterback. And I'm not saying that he's not a good quarterback now. Obviously, I played with the man. I know his talents and his abilities now. But I think there's still some untapped potential there. And when we're talking about 5 years from now, then I'm not talking about 6. I'm talking about 1, 2, 3. Right? I believe he has that ability.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.